Hello and welcome to your Asian Pulse TV, an informative and resourceful station. I'm your host Manbir Randhawa, and today we are broadcasting from the unceded territories of Silvertooth Nation, Mokim and Kwantlen Nations. We feel very blessed for the generosity of the First Nation people who allow us to share this traditional land with them. In today's episode, we'll be talking about two extra crucial problems of the modern world. One is saving our earth, and two, saving our children. This year, Earth Day falls on April 22nd. And did you ever wonder how Earth Day began? The first Earth Day was held on April 22nd, 1970, when San Francisco activist John McConnell and Wisconsin-based Senator Galen Nelson separately asked Americans to join in a grassroots demonstration, dealing with dangerously serious issues concerning toxic drinking water, air pollution, and effects of pesticides. An impressive 20 million, which is about 10% of the population, ventured outside and protested together. Moving further, U.S. President Richard Nixon led the nation in creating the Environmental Protection Agency, which followed with successful laws including the Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act. Isn't it revolutionary? So, what are you doing this Earth Day? It is our duty to act in some way and act every day, even if it is little by little. So maybe plant a tree, conserve some water, or reduce, reuse, and recycle. You will be contributing towards Earth. Next is the 420. Even though April 20th, which is also called 420, is a day for the celebration and awareness about marijuana, we would like to highlight the wrong notions that youngsters have towards smoking or using marijuana as a recreational drug. There is no doubt that marijuana affects brain development. When people begin using marijuana as teenagers, the drug may impair thinking, memory, and learning functions. A study has been conducted in New Zealand, in part by researchers of Duke University, showed that people who started smoking marijuana heavily in their teens and had an ongoing marijuana use disorder, they have lost an average of 8 IQ points. Now that's a lot of it. And that too at a young age when your brain is developing and growing and you are building your cognitive processes. So we request the teenagers to please smoke carefully. In fact, don't smoke when you are a teenager because the lost mental abilities didn't fully return in those who quit marijuana as adults. Further, the side effects of smoking marijuana includes that cannabis smoke contains a mixture of chemicals that can irritate your lungs and bronchial passages. It's similar to tobacco smoke, so it increases the risk of bronchitis. Using cannabis during pregnancy can affect the developing baby. The child may have trouble with memory, concentration, and problem-solving skills. THC present in marijuana alters the way you process information, so your judgment is impaired. THC also changes the way a part of your brain called hippocampus processes information, so it affects your ability to form new memories. Did you see the connection? Why there are so many mental health issues arising with our younger generation? Think about it. But for now, let's take a short break and hear some words from our sponsors.
I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated.
For any kind of visa-related services, contact Milky Way Immigration, a galaxy of opportunities located at Unit 209-9547 152 Street, Surrey, BC. They have licensed immigration consultants, placement officers, and LMIA experts to meet your immigration and recruitment needs. Book one-time free consultation either on Facebook or by calling 604-396-0005. Bollywood Banquet Hall and Conference Center, located at Pile Business Center at 201-8166 128th Street in Surrey. No celebration is too small to accommodate you. They have newly renovated 2 halls to serve you, up to 1,000 guest capacity, top-notch chefs to delight you with delectable and heavenly cuisine. So just call Bollywood Banquet Hall at 604-598-2700 for your events. Benisi Mobile Detailing Services. They offer commercial trucks, cars, SUV, boats, bikes, RVs, and much more. Just give them a call at 778-808-2859. Just give them a call at 778-808-2859 and they will do all kind of services at your home. Thank you, sponsors. Today, our guest in the studio is CGA, Mr. Ron Singh, who will be talking about income tax deadlines.
Hello and welcome on Asian Pulse. And today's guest is a CGA, Mr. Ron Singh, and I invited him to talk about income tax. As we all know, the month end is coming April. I think the deadline is May 1st as a deadline for income tax. But you only file income tax if you gonna be paying, or else they will start charging interest on it. But I think we all, as Canadians, we all file income tax. There's a lot of benefits of filing income tax because you can get GST rebate and things like that. So I'm going to talk to Ron, who is a CGA, and going to be talking about some hints and talk about income tax in general and why should we be filing income tax. So welcome, Ron.
Thank you. So my name's Ron. So just as a background, I worked in public practice with one of the big 4 firms for about 10 years. Over the past 5 years, I've been working with a real estate company. So I have tons of exposure preparing tax returns and personal and corporate. So I'm happy to be in the show here and talk a bit about that. But you're right. So technically, everyone has to file an income tax return. They have to file it by April 30th, technically, but if that falls on a weekend or on a stat holiday, then it's the next business day. Everyone should file it technically, even if you have no income, you should always file a tax return because you should not lose out on benefits. So if you have no income, you can always qualify for GST credits, or if you have children, you can qualify for child tax benefits. So you should always file a income tax return. Also, for self-employed individuals, their deadline to file is June 15th, not April 30th, June 15th. So if you have your own business or you're just self-employed, you don't have a company to that you work under or you run it off, your deadline to file is June 15th. But that being said, if you have taxes owing, you have to pay that by April 30th. So a lot of people think that they have until June 15th to file the tax return and to pay their income tax, but the government does want their money on the deadline, which is April 30th. So it's always hard because people, they give their returns to their accountants or they prepare it by June 15th. And if they have a balance owing, they get charged interest. So there's no penalties as long as you file by the deadline, but they get charged interest on the balance owing. That's the only drawback of not paying on time. And for students, for example, they should also file the tax returns. And I'm going a bit off tangent here, talking about individuals, self-employed. But in a lot of cases, I see that students that are going to university, they don't work. They don't really file the tax returns because they don't feel like they have the need to, which makes sense from their perspective. But if you have tuition credits, let's say if you pay tuition to the university and if you have tuition credits, the government's not going to know what that is unless you file your tax return. So each year you should file your tax return get your accountant or yourself to claim the tuition credits, and those carry forward to when you need it. So you'll probably need it once you graduate, when you're earning income. So the tuition credits, you can use those credits towards your income when you actually earn income, when you're in the workforce. Also, if your parents are working, you can always transfer those tuition credits to your parents as well. But so yeah, kids and students, they should also file the tax returns as well. So yeah.
So if you have an income coming from your basement, you have a rental property and all that, and I see that just because they don't have legal suites and people still rent it out, but they don't claim the income from as a revenue from the basement and all that. How important is it for the landlord to be able to report the income?
Oh, it's very important. So technically, you're supposed to report any income you earn from anywhere, whether it's rental, self-employed, anything. So even for rental income, if you're not disclosing that income on your income tax return, if CRA or the government finds out, that's basically you could be in trouble, right? Because you're not reporting income that you're supposed to report. I think a lot of people, they see this as if it's just cash only, or if there's no receipts and whatnot, they don't have to report. But again, any cash that you get that's income to you, whether it's rental or any kind of income, you have to report it. So even if it's rental, you could be, you could have a hair salon and you could be earning cash over there, self-employment income. You have to report all kinds of income. Now, with rental income, you have to keep in mind that if you're earning $500 a month, which is probably a pretty good deal right now,
Yes.
it's you can also you also have expenses that you can offset. So if your basement is half or 30% square footage of the house, and if you have a mortgage, you can write off 30% of the mortgage. If your rental covers hydro and whatnot, you can write off 30% of the hydro of the Fortis bill, cable. So you can write off 30% of any expenses related to earning that income. So if you're earning a rental income from the basement, you can write off a proportion of any expenses that you incurred to earn that income as well.
And if you do any renovation in there, buying new fridge, stove, or lighting or something, you can also claim that as expense.
Exactly. So if there's any expenses that you incurred for the unit, let's say if you change
the carpet,
carpets or the fridge, you can write those up as well. Now, there's a disclosure for me would be that there's expenses and then there's capital in nature, right? So if you change the floors and if your accountant deems that to be capital in nature, you can't claim that an expense, but you can capitalize it and depreciate it, right? So also with rental income from a basement, you have to be careful with depreciation, because you don't want to depreciate the value of the house, because that has other tax impacts as well when it comes to claiming the principal residence when you sell the house. So there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, any expenses that you have for the unit, for the house in general, repairs and maintenance, you can write that up as well. If you have garbage, for example, property tax as well, property tax, city utilities, you can write off a proportion of that as well towards the rental income as well.
I was going to say there are people that come from a different country and they work there and they are getting pension. And I'm talking to them, somebody I talked to, and they said, well, this is not an earning from here. This is my earning from my back home, that I retired now or take early retirement and I'm here. So that should not be included as part of my income because I did not earn that money in here. Are we supposed to claim that as income as well, even though money is coming from other country?
Technically, you have to, yes. Any pension income that's earned outside of Canada, you have to declare your worldwide income on your tax return. Now, in a lot of cases, if you're living here and you're earning income, let's say from Italy or anywhere, there's taxes that you pay on that income as well. So if you're getting pension income from a different country, there's some withholding tax that's withheld from that pension income. You can claim that withholding tax as a tax credit. So let's say your pension income each month is $1,000 gross, but in your pocket, in a check, in your jeans, you get $700. $300 goes to the government in that country, whether it's Italy, France, whichever country. So you disclose your income as $1,000, but you can claim a foreign tax credit for $300. So in most cases, if the country you're earning the income from, if that country has a higher tax rate, you won't really pay taxes on the income here, right? So it depends. Yeah, it depends. But you should be claiming all kinds of income or what income on your tax return and claiming an offsetting deduction for the taxes that you paid in that country as well.
So who should be filing taxes? If you are 16 years old and you're going to school and still living at home and you have a part-time job, I'm just thinking, giving you a scenario that you're living with your parents, you're in a school, you still have part-time work, but you are not paying rent or whatever, but you're paying for the school and all that. Should that person, just because he's working or she's working part-time, should that person also be filing taxes?
I would say so, yeah. Yeah, so even if you're 16, 17, you have a part-time job at McDonald's, Starbucks, whatever it might be, it's always good to file those taxes because now you're paying into the pension system, which is a CPP. So you're paying into the pension system and you're accruing that pension as well as you work. Right, so it's always good for students, even if you're in high school and you're not an adult yet, to file tax returns. It's most likely you won't be paying taxes at the end of the year. If anything, you'll get a refund from whether it's GST rebates or if the company you work for withheld too many taxes. So you'll always get a refund, or it'll just be nil. But it's always good for even kids that are working, that are in the workforce. And are not adults to file income tax returns as well.
I was also thinking about it when people say, well, I'm not working, I am 35 years old, and I just worked here and there a little bit, and they haven't paid anything, nobody has taken any deduction, and but they are working a little bit here, because if you have so much very minimum job and they are just called once a week and you're making $200, maybe how much tax can they take out? And they will say, well, it's okay, don't take no taxes, I'm going to pay the taxes. So what you were trying to say in here, that each and everyone should be filing income tax. Is that what
that is correct? That is correct. So even if it's individual that's earning, whether it's $200, $400, so there's two things. You can either be an employee of a company, earning or working once a week and getting a T4 income. In that case, the government already has a T4 slip, and it's easy for them to basically assess you, or it's easy for you to file it directly as well. If you are a contractor and if you get called in for odd jobs here and there, and you get paid cash, check, whatever it is, technically you're supposed to file income tax returns and disclose that income as well. Just because you're paid in cash doesn't mean that you don't have to file tax returns, because the onus is on the individual to file the tax return, to pay their portion of the taxes, their portion of the CPP and whatnot. Just because at the end of the day, if the government does find out that you're not filing and disclosing all your income, that could have some adverse tax impacts, right? So again, it's for a lot of people, if they've done it for a year, 2 years, 5 years, they think it's fine. But with technology, with the government getting more sophisticated with the technology, it's easy for them to track down, who's paying and who's not, right? So I know that in the past, even individuals that sold their house, principal residence, they didn't disclose that because it's principal residence. I don't pay tax on this. Excuse me. You always had to disclose that. Now it's a requirement. So there's a separate form on the tax return now that if you've sold your place and it's your primary residence, your principal residence, you have to disclose that on the tax return. And if you don't, there may be penalties. Right? Again, there's no tax on that. It's your principal residence. You bought it for this much. You sold it for this much. No impact. But it's a requirement to disclose that. And if you don't, with the government, they can, any one of us, or meaning the government, they can go to the land titles office. They can see what
Yes.
was sold during the year. And they can cross-reference, right? So it's again, with technology, the government is getting very sophisticated, right? So it's they get fed information. They have a very, very complicated system of softwares that they can double check by name, by SIN numbers, tax return, whether you disclose or not. So over time, it's come a long way. So I think I would recommend people to file the tax returns, disclose the income, and don't feel as if it's cash you don't have to. It's always good to.
Mm-hmm. And this is what they say this year. I think one of the things that are new this year is that there is a system in there that you just put all these numbers there and it will calculate for you.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go to accountant, you don't go to H&R and pay $25-$30. I don't know how much amount is, but they are trying to do this for people who are not filing, because they encourage everybody to file, because if you file, you know how much GST you're gonna get.
Exactly.
Or if you have kids, what kind of child credit you are able to get. So I think it's important. I know that we all get scared thinking about CRA. CRA may be going on strike too because their contract is expiring, but it doesn't matter whether they go on strike or not. But our job is that the deadline is coming up on May 1st. We are all supposed to be filing income tax for 2022. Any other new changes that are taking place for this year in the income tax, or is it?
No, mainly the same. I think during the COVID time, there was a little employment expense feature where if you work from home, you can claim a certain amount each day that you work from home. I can't remember what the exact amount was, but for 2022, the maximum is $500. So if you're working from home, and if you're earning a T4, you can claim a maximum of $500 to offset your employment income as well, or your T4 income as well. So it's not new. It's been there since COVID, for the past 3-4 years. We thought that might go away last year, but it's still there. So it's a good thing that if you're working from home, make sure you take advantage of that and you claim it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
does it matter how many hours you are working from home? Because now people are going back to work, like they are going 3 days and 2 days from home, or 3 days home and 2 days back in the office, because that's what everybody wants. There are empty buildings standing in downtown, but people are not there. So I think the people want people to go back to work.
Flexibility, yeah. There's some criteria. I can't recall off the top of my head exactly what the criteria is, but I think if you're working half or close to half of your days at home, you can claim the $500. It's not very much. I mean, I think it's an amount per day, so it's usually it adds up to about half the time that you're at home.
Mm-hmm.
So if you spend half the time at home, you can claim that $500 expense as well.
So I was going to say, what kind of advice you want to give? Last word of wisdom or advice that the people that are listening to you and watching you.
I would want them to, I would say, make sure you file your tax returns. It's always good to, because you don't want to lose out on benefits that the government offers. The government, with being the CRA, they're trying to make it easier for us to file these tax returns. Because of there's individuals that could be low income, or just they don't have the resources to file the returns. They don't have the resources to go to a person to file or to get the software. So they are working on making it easier for individuals to file their tax returns, to make sure that they can access the benefits that the government offers, whether it's GST, child tax credit, whatever it is. So they are making it easier for individuals to access those, and just make sure you file on time. April 30th is the deadline. I think it's May.
I think it's May 1st.
So if it falls on a weekend, it's the next business day. So if 30th is on a Saturday or Sunday, it's May 1st. Just file on time, and if you're self-employed with a June 15th deadline, maybe have your accountant yourself do a quick calculation of how much you might owe, if you do owe, and just make a lump sum payment on April 30th. If you do pay more than you're supposed to, you'll get the refund back when you file the tax return. So it'll mitigate the interest that the government charges on your balance on it.
Anyhow, Thank you so much for coming in and talking about income tax. And I think we all live in a country like that. We all have to file income tax. So it's better to be equipped with knowledge that how important it is to file the income tax. So the government is not coming knocking on your door and they say, you worth that many, because they also have a copy of your T4. So you can't run around. You cannot fool them. So I think it's important to do the right thing to file the taxes.
Exactly. Thank you for having me as well.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have some public announcements, so have your pen and paper ready. Fiji Embassy staff will be in Vancouver to receive your passport applications. The staff will be in Surrey from April 10th until April 21st at Multicultural Travel, which is located at 9476 120th Street in Surrey. Call them to set up a time. One of our friends from Asian Pulse TV is in dire need of kidney donation. We all have 2 kidneys, and if you would like to consider donating your kidney, and if you are the right candidate for the donation, please call us and we will guide you to how to go about it. Our friend who is in need of kidney has worked in healthcare for the past 35 years until the retirement and has saved many lives. Now it is our duty and our responsibility to save her life. If you are from Fijian community and you have had a kidney transplant in the past, and now you want to become an ambassador for Kidney Transplant Foundation, this is your opportunity. You can contact us and we will forward your information to Kidney Foundation. Call us at 604-537-5123. If you have missed our show, you can watch it again tomorrow night at 8:30 and again on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. on Shaw Cable. We have several shows every week, and there are 3 different shows that I would like to highlight today. First is Fiji in Focus, which you can watch on Tuesday at 10 p.m., Thursdays at 2:30 p.m., and Sundays at 4 p.m. Kamila Singh's show every Monday at 10 a.m. and again on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. VT Vibes TV on Thursdays at 10 p.m. and again on Sundays at 4:30 p.m. All of our shows are also uploaded on our YouTube channel under Kamila Singh Show. So please watch, subscribe, like and share. That's how you will show your support. So today, before I go, I want to leave you with these thoughts. Your health is an investment. It's not an expense. So invest wisely. With that, I'm your host, Manvi Randhawa, signing off today, and I'll see you next week.